Men, the old bait and switch. Sex and intimacy are great before you get married, and then boom, the ring goes on and intimacy is turned off like a light switch. This is a painful experience and understandably super confusing for you. Like, what just happened? This isn't what I signed up for. And sex and intimacy, I know, goes beyond just enjoyment of the physical act. It deepens connection, trust, love, safety, togetherness, and so much more in your marriage. So, what is really going on here? Is it really hopeless because she's deceived you? That is what we are unpacking today. I am Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention. Let's dive in because you deserve to feel loved and desired by your wife. So let's just start out. Have you heard this term before? Let me know below. The bait and switch. I will be so honest with you. I've never heard it in my life until just a couple months ago, right here on YouTube in my comment section. I had to Google what it meant when I saw that so many men believe that women do this intentionally, on purpose. They get the ring, they lock it in, and then they cut off sex entirely. I will admit, as a woman, I felt defensive. I felt, in disbelief. And then, as I recognized my own triggers and shifted into compassionate curiosity, it made sense to me. Mismatched libido or desire level is the number one reason that couples seek support when it comes to sex and intimacy. Many men have shared with me that sex and intimacy is rare in their marriage, and it's not something they can even discuss without driving a further wedge between them and their wife. So as you're hearing this, you might be like, Lindsay, you said it makes sense. So does that mean you agree with the bait and switch, that like this is the real deal, this is what women do? Well, not exactly. It makes sense that men or even other women have this belief. When there's a big change in anything, our brain has to make sense of it. Like, what just happened? Our brain needs the because. She stopped wanting sex because. So there are lots of possible reasons for a decrease in desire. And if you go looking for a reason, which makes sense that we do, that's our brains, and you happen to be in an echo chamber where the bait and switch is talked about, it makes sense that your brain goes, yeah, there it is. There's the why. We have a reason. And let's face it, it hurts. It hurts men to be on the receiving end of this drastic change. Things were feeling so good, so connected, intimate, flirty, playful, vulnerable. They were feeling desired before their marriage, and then it just stops. It can absolutely feel like this is intentional from their wife. The bait and switch explains all of this. Hell, my goodness, we even have some relationship professionals that promote this idea. So it makes all the sense in the world that so many men resonate with it and they believe it. And whenever I look into it, the narrative that I see around it is, this is what women do. Never get married. Again, I get why these men, maybe even you, would want to save other men from the pain of things just seemingly turning off at the flick of a switch after marriage. And seeing that this belief seems to be painting all women in this light, it makes me wonder if women really were plotting to bait and switch with sex and intimacy, why do so many of them seek help? Why do so many of them feel guilty and desperately want to understand their own shift in desire? Wouldn't they just be satisfied with their successful plan? What if instead of a calculated deception, we're actually seeing two people experiencing a huge life transition without the tools to understand it or navigate it? And we truly do not ever receive relationship tools. We just don't learn this stuff. So if we think about it like this, you wouldn't expect your truck to run the exact same after years and years and years on the road. Even with regular tune-ups and oil changes, things will shift. Parts will wear out, new conditions will come up, and it needs different care than it did when it came fresh off the lot. When it stops running the same way, you get curious about what's going on. You either check it out yourself or you bring it into the shop and you figure it out and you work on that piece. Intimacy is the same way. It naturally changes over time, and if we don't get compassionately curious about what's underneath the change, then things can completely stall. The truth is, when desire changes, both partners suffer. I have spoken to countless women who feel broken, confused, frustrated, and guilty about their changing desires, and men who share that they feel rejected, unloved, and even hopeless. And when we label this change in desire as intentional deception, it literally closes the door to understanding what's really happening in the relationship. It closes the door to seeing the real impact of external stressors on external things that are happening in your life on desire and intimacy. Things like having kids, moving, getting married, financial strain, so many things. While sex and intimacy can be a huge stress reliever for some people, which makes so much sense, it also makes so much sense that stress can put the brakes on for sex and intimacy. If you shift from "she tricked me" to asking the question, "what has changed in our dynamic that's affecting both of our experiences of intimacy?" then we can start getting somewhere. Here is what I know after working with couples for years. When both partners approach this challenge with curiosity and love instead of with blame, with seeking to understand instead of assuming and accusing, that's when real healing and connection become possible. Which means if you're a man watching this, you don't have to stay stuck. I believe the women who deceive men intentionally are the exception, not the rule, just like men who deceive women. If you are struggling with this in your marriage, know that there is so much hope, and it starts with this shift, bringing in that compassionate curiosity. This is curiosity where you, oh my gosh, there is no right or wrong answer. You get to bring in compassion with whatever the answer is. And you get to start creating a safe space to have the real vulnerable conversations that it takes to really understand each other. And you can comment roadmap below for my free love journey roadmap. It is all about helping you start to create that emotional intimacy. You can also check out the video on the screen where I share more about what's usually underneath lower desire for women. I am sending so much love into your day. Thank you so much for being here. I'm curious your thoughts, and remember that nothing changes if nothing changes. So you can comment roadmap for the free roadmap if you want to start getting compassionately curious about what's going on in your marriage. Let's have a super intentional week. Bye.